Thank you. This is a disaster. Thanks, Kathy, for your kind words and for all that you are and all that you do. And I really hope that in the future that someone like me will be standing here receiving the Kathleen Kennedy Award for Excellence. Because, man, you are truly excellent. And in fact, I would like to dedicate, it's probably apt that you're holding it right now, to a dear friend and dedicate this award to a dear friend and colleague of ours, Ali Shermer, who is an extraordinary producer. And it also feels appropriate that Stanley Kubrick, who spent so much of his career in England, as you have, Kathy, as Ali did, who was fiercely loyal, intensely creative. She wasn't behind the camera, but my God, did she respect and love the people who make the films. So we miss her, and this is for her. But as I said, it's a total disaster. I'm so fucking lo-fi. I've got glasses and pieces of paper. And my glasses are so filthy, I don't think I'll even be able to read my pieces of paper. So we could be, they said 3 to 5 minutes. We could be here all night. And look, it's very odd, I don't know if you all feel this, but whenever I'm with more than 2 or 3 people at the one time, there's so much going on in the world at the moment. It's very hard to talk about sort of inconsequential things like acting or one's process. There's so much to discuss. And it's hard when you've been given 3 to 5 minutes. Andy Warhol said I'd get 15, but I've only got 3 to 5 minutes for remarks. You can't get anywhere close to anything in remarks, but I'll try. And honestly, I don't really have any desire to cram the airwaves with any more remarks that are out of context and probably quite meaningless. That gets a clap? Okay. The bar's pretty low. But James Joyce actually said that, to be a successful writer, and unfortunately I've got 2 great writers on my table, D.V. Vincentis and the wonderful Phyllis Nage, who wrote Carol, so I'm in trouble. But he said that the formula to being a great writer was silence, exile, and cunning. And I think there's some wisdom to that. And that sort of definition of success as a creative individual does make me think of the enigma that Stanley Kubrick was. God, I wish I had a teleprompter. Where was that thought going? No, but he was self-imposed exile. He was 38 years, making the bulk of his output in England, and I relate to that. I'm not self-imposed exile from Australia, convicts all, and there's a few of us in the room tonight, many at my table. It's a magnetic country, but there is something that's afforded to you about leaving, when you get to leave your country and you get the opportunity of working elsewhere, because it gives you a very interesting perspective on the cultural and political landscape of the environment that you've left. And it also means you get to invent and reinvent yourself. And you can see that very much in Stanley Kubrick's work, and so I connect with that. And look, he must have been a cunning bastard. An American who moved to England and then made some of the most potent, memorable and influential films in the American canon in England. So that's pretty cunning. And I know that myself as an actress, when I first started out, you needed a lot of cunning just to sort of survive, and if you wanted to steer your career and not offend too many people by having too many opinions, cunning was definitely something you had to have in your toolbox. But hopefully that's changing. And silence, well, I'm still working on that one. So back to my notes. But I think it is hard to be silent at the moment as an artist when there's so much to discuss. But tonight I think I will be in a minute, and hopefully I'll let my that excruciating body of work speak for itself. And I'm going to be polite, and I really just want to say a few words of thanks to Kathy, to Hilda, my agent, my mentor in all things, to my friends who are at my table tonight, who've braved the undercooked chicken, which was perfectly cooked. Thank you. And so thank you to, I hope, the appropriately paid waits and kitchen staff. Thank you. I'd like to thank BAFTA for this award. And I'd also like to thank the remarkable Mr. Kubrick. You know, his work was anything but polite. I mean, he was a complete, unapologetic, provocative, gender-bending, groundbreaking, often bewildering and offensive filmmaker. And I think because of those qualities, his work has been almost incomparably influential. And so I find that really inspiring. And part of what I admire about him is that he wasn't really an auteur in the formal sense of the word, that what he ventured into genre with such a deep curiosity, and that he didn't sort of bend the genres to him. He ventured into the genre, and he was almost willfully losing his identity to maintain the particularity of the vision without ever losing his voice. And I'd also like to thank the astonishing array of recipients who've come before me and who've certainly influenced my career. I mean, the list is so long. I mean, you know, all these shapeshifters who have been profoundly influential on our modern understanding of what film and storytelling is. I mean, Meryl Streep, duh. Daniel Day-Lewis, duh. And, you know, Robert De Niro. I was going to make a joke about pipe bombs, but you really... I'm sorry, there's just no joke to be had there. I mean, you could make a joke about George Clooney and fatherhood. He's another recipient, but you can not make jokes about pipe bombs. And Jodie Foster, you know, you think about the range and variety of her career, from a child actor in Taxi Driver to then having this profound sort of mid-career moment with films like The Accused. Not only a powerhouse performance, but she understood the platform she had as an actress to deeply talk about sexual assault. And then she goes on to have the most astonishing directorial career. So clearly, this award is a kind of a G-up for those who receive it to really embrace the variety and the complexity of and potential that's there in filmmaking. So yeah, it's a bit of G-up for me, really. And Kubrick really was the quintessential director of variety. He moved through so many genres in an unapologetic, there's that word again, I do need a teleprompter, but the unapologetic, elastic nature of his imagination I find so inspiring, particularly in these times of reductive simplicity and dangerously locked down literalism. I mean, the black, the white, the blue, the red, I mean, it's just like, oh my God, when are we just going to get on with the fact that we're all different, embrace that difference and just move forward? It's like... It's so boring. I mean, we've got to acknowledge that we're all fucked up and we all need forgiveness. And, frankly, we need the complications. It's just like turn around and give the person beside you a hug, in honour of the great hugger, Stanley Kubrick. I don't know if he was a hugger, but he probably wanted to be. So I'm going to stop now. But, yeah. But it truly is, thank you, BAFTA. This is when the hook would come out in vaudeville. But it's inspiring and galvanising for me to receive this award. And, I was talking about how much there is to discuss, but really, honestly, there is so much to do. And when I look at the profound and influential body of work of the people who've received the award before me, and Stanley Kubrick himself, I've got to get a wriggle on. So, but I hope it means that my work might represent, a hundredth, a tenth of the depth and breadth of his work, and indeed of the British film industry generally. I mean, an industry that I owe an enormous debt of gratitude. And we all know how warm and how generous the British people are. What great huggers they are. So it's no wonder they all moved to LA. Thank you, thank you, thank you.